his soul, or help repair his soul. And in the storefront church, that occurred. You call the guy, Reverend, listen, man, hey, I'll be over after work. In most cases, it's Reverend, a bus driver or something like that. And so those kinds of things, so they're extremely important. And because you can see, there's a lot of storefront churches in Jamaica, Queens. If you just walk by and see the people that go in there, they're a marked difference from the people that originally attended those churches. And they were generally, and I think I can say this without no reservation, they were poor, ignorant, landless migrants who originally were attracted. I mean, ignorant only in the sense that they didn't have any experiences in the earth, not ignorant because of some intellectual lack of some intellectual stuff. But you can see them. They're pulling up in their Lexus, okay, and which means something that they have disposable income or they're wealthy, because I don't know if anybody else can afford to buy this. And they're going into church, and they're little well-mannered kids and so forth and so on, because they know, they look at society, the church is involved in this. They're involved in things that they didn't expect the church to be involved in. Support of homosexuality, support of this and that, and so forth. And these little small churches that are into cleansing and nurturing their souls. That's what they're all about. So, you know, I'm going to try and get a book out of this. At least I'm going to have a show. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. I will have a show at the museum. Maybe, I don't know how they're going to schedule it. I don't expect it to be this year, probably next year. But the photographs will be out of hands. My next project is a project that I feel strongly close to, and I came to this as a result of reading an article about 5 years ago on the disappearance of the black farmer. It's really. And I began my research and found that it's a project, if in fact black farmers are going to be extinct, because they're near extinct now, by the year 2010, then this is an opportunity for me to get in at the end of history and record it. Okay, because after that, that's it. Okay, working farms. And just recently, the United States government redefined a small farm, which means more farmers are going to get kicked out of the pot. So what my idea of doing is, there's a town called Robinsonville, Mississippi, which is right on the Mississippi River. And on one side is 1930, and on the other side of the road is 1998. There's a big gambling casino structure. But anyway, there's a lot of farmers in that area. There's been a development of a big movement towards saving these black farmers out of North Carolina and some brothers down in Texas. Now, there are some wealthy black farmers, but I'm not necessarily interested in them. I'm interested in the farmer who, that's what he does, the struggling farmer. And I want to tell a story, and in order for me to tell this story, I have to shoot him as well as shoot everything that involves his existence. Because if the black farmer fails, the towns where he deals with, they're gone. Now, I'm not saying there's a conspiracy, but obviously in some places in the South, the less you have of black farmers, the less you have of black people having any political clout. Because if you own a piece of land, which most people cannot, okay, you are somebody. Because you have a base. That's the basis of man's existence, a piece of land. So I wanted to, my idea of photographing a black farmer is to get down there with him and not film him at a distance, but film his activity, his whole activity. I figure it's going to take me at least a year. The ultimate goal is to get an artist in residence program at Alabama University to finish the project. There's a brother down there who runs the Department of Agriculture who's been focusing his academic work on blacks in agriculture. That's his main thing. So I'm working through him. Hopefully they'll be able to get me this grant so I can just hang out in Mississippi. I'm going to jump over to Texas. And I'm going to Texas, Texas has the largest population of black farmers in the country, Texas. And they also have some of the richest black farmers Was I supposed to rub my nose on film? I want to get over to Texas, and I wasn't going to Texas until Jasper. So now, it's only a couple states over. Just check. I like to roll through Jasper for a day. See, they're supposed to have a nice restaurant there. See what's happening. But I'll be based in Mississippi. I'll be doing Humphrey County, mainly soybean, peanuts, tobacco, and hogs. I want to do hogs. I definitely want to do hog farms. And none of these aggravated. I mean, I want to do the whole thing. I want to hog slaughter, the whole business. Now, is there a market for this? An immediate market? No. There's maybe 10, 15 different agricultural magazines. I plan to sell a couple of pieces as a photo essay. But I think what needs to happen with this particular project is that the still photography should be put on video, and the black farmers should feed into the photographs. Voiceover or whatever the case may be. But that's a longer range project that I personally want. I don't want to be involved in because I don't want to interview people necessarily, and I'm not a big fan of video. But I do want to shoot these images. And these images, in fact, will be big. These will be big. Because I want you to be able, when the guy's slaughtering the hog, I want you to, or let's say he's feeding the hog, and he's in his Wellington boots and stuff. I want you to be able to feel that you're in the mud with that hog. And I can only do that with a larger size, perhaps 16 by 20. Very grainy, but contrast. And he said, damn, the hog was practically in the hog. And shoot the images from that perspective. And I hope they have a well-rounded piece, you know, the town, going to church on Sunday, frying chicken, and do an entire piece. Not just go down and shoot some farmers and get out of there. I want to do a whole piece that depicts the life of the black farmer on the verge of extinction at the end of the century. 50 prints to Altoona University for their archives. And giving them about $25,000. And a few other hot photographers during that era did. The last project that I think that I should be working on is, I have several projects I'd like to do, but I certainly cannot afford to do none of them. But one of them I may be able to squeeze in. There's a refugee camp in Khartoum, Sudan. And last count, it's about 478,000 people surrounding the city of Khartoum. A variety of refugees from all over, some displaced people. Now there's one other character doing this work over there, a guy named Nolan, somebody, Dutch photographer, who's following displaced people around. He's rolling around. But there's enough refugee camps and refugees for me to get my niche. But I would like to do Khartoum, and I'd like to do children that play. That's it. I don't want to be bothered with nobody crying about they were displaced in the war, and the kids got fever and all. Oh, I'm not interested. That's your problem, the United Nations problem. I'm interested in what do children do for play in a refugee camp. And I know that I like kids anyway, but it's going to be a fun project. It'll give me an opportunity to play, act childlike, and shoot. And I'll have all these kids at my disposal. So I think that from a photographic point of view, I think that this is an ultimate challenge for me, to be able to be in an environment which it's almost a half a million people, and to be able to key in on a child playing that I'll be able to capture and someone else will be able to experience is a challenge. I'm in a big challenge. So I'm going to figure out if the black farmers will pay off on it in itself. But we're talking about being compensated financially to sponsor this trip to Khartoum. And of course, the Khartoum government will help me do some kinds of things, assuming they don't change power by the time we get over. I like the military power that's in there because they're more reasonable. But that's it.
So how many projects do you have in the bag already?
I have I think 13 projects two projects that, one came to a halt. Architecture dispossessed came to a halt only because the social climate has changed. Nobody's building shacks anymore, okay? They went from shacks to cardboard boxes. Cardboard boxes are expedient, they can be found anywhere, they're mobile, but you can carry a refrigerator in a cardboard box a couple of blocks. Drag, climbing in, go to sleep. So nobody's building shacks anymore, and partly because of Giuliani and so forth and so on down the line. Okay, so that came to a halt. Shooting the homeless hasn't come to a halt, particularly now where I noticed on Fifth Avenue, every third street is a beggar. And they all have signs now. So that says something about the literary character of the begging population now, that they realize that marketing is part of the begging process because of the signs. And I'm focusing on signs. Okay. Certain things don't work anymore, of course. I am a disabled Vietnam vet, over. I am a Persian Gulf vet, maybe. Okay. Now, if I'm a World War II vet and disabled, make over. But those are generally whites. So that project is sort of touch and go. If you see something interesting, a sign that's interesting, you just do it. Because the character behind the sign is just like any other character there. Unless they come to something remarkable, like they have a suit and tie. Or they're begging for payment or something. So they came on. The AIDS project, which I call AIDS Murder, sort of came to a halt. And that was based on posters or how AIDS activists get the message out about protected sex and HIV. That sort of came to a halt because of the AIDS movement is in a turmoil. They don't know which way they want to go. You have an activist element and you have an element that wants to go into the status quo or maintain the status quo. So you don't see the posters like the one with the gay guys, or you don't see this, let me show the camera. The one about AIDS, murder. You don't see those things anymore because it's just not, so that came to a halt. There's no real gay liberation movement. Now what I've been focusing in on, what I would like to focus in on, but it requires going to other cities. I have a project title called Harriet's Daughters. And this is about black women in the struggle. Most of the political struggles in this country, the frontline action actually, is made by black women, Hispanic. So I thought I'd like Harriet Tubman for a variety of reasons. So I decided to name a project called Harriet's Daughters. And what I've done is put together 20 photographs of black women at the forefront of the struggle. But that's an ongoing project. My police project's ongoing. What else was I doing? Last Respects is a project on memorials to those that have fallen as a result of some kind of violence that you see painted on the wall memorials. I was doing, yeah, I forgot it. Well, it's 13 projects. I can't think of half of them. But they're the type of projects that you can't finish. You can only reach a point. Then you say, well, let me show this stuff. Okay, because you're at a point. And most of it's dated because a lot of movements just peter out and just end up. What I am looking for, though, at this particular time is a drug-addicted homeless woman who on AIDS. That's what I'm looking for. And I want to photograph her as long as I'm in New York, so I'll either go to the farm project, and hopefully beyond that point. I want to photograph her in her a day in the life, so to speak, series over a period of time, not every day, but over a period of time, up until, so to speak, until she can no longer function. But that's a very difficult task to completely diversified and find a person.
So you have social concerns in doing this work, or are you doing it out of other purposes? And needs?
Other purposes sound sinister. I perceive myself as a lesser photographer. I don't really look at myself as a photographer, but I look at myself as an agitator with a camera. I really can't say I'm a photographer. I'm an agitator. I think the major reason that I photograph is because I'm concerned about the social environment that I live in. I previously was involved in the civil rights movement, so I had an opportunity to see a lot of things that should be corrected or perhaps should have never existed in the first damn place. But I do have an opportunity with a camera to record some of the things that I think need to be changed in a profound way need to be changed, because there's no reason that in the only wealthy country in the world that people sleep indoors. Makes absolutely no sense. So I use my camera to tell a certain side of the story. Okay, there's various sides. There's the upper side, there's the middle side, and then there's the near bottom and the bottom. I prefer the bottom because the bottom is influenced by the top, and the top is influenced by the bottom. Because if the bottom ever falls out, there is no top. So I use my camera in that sense. You're not compensated because compensated in the manner in which you think you should be. And the reason for that is that I haven't come in from the cold, like Alex says. I in some sense, refuse to come in and play the games. It's just not, it's difficult. I don't know how to smile. And I don't know that, I don't know how to hold my cocktail glass the right way. I usually grab it, and you're not supposed to be so. You tired? You have to go to bed? So one of those moments. So I think that what I would like to have a student that I would take some of my. I'm not a technician. I could care less about formulas. The Beers doesn't fasten the Beers formula, and paper negatives, digital photography. My photography is compact. One camera, one lens, one film grade, one paper, one developer, one everything. And it minimizes the intellectual hassle, and I can focus in on shooting. There's a couple of photographers that function like that. I mean, good photographers. They're older than I am, 70s. They shoot one camera all the time. Because I firmly believe that it doesn't make any difference what camera lens you have. It's the character behind the camera that goes in. It's the picture. Like I was telling somebody earlier, I like to participate in the drama. Okay, so when you see my photographs, you say the person was there. He was right there. Whatever happened, he was right. So I would recommend the craft. I think one of my problems with the craft is that it doesn't reach out to black people in the manner that it should. We don't have many black-owned galleries. It's extremely difficult for black photographers to find wall space. Okay. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not any good, because there's a lot of good photographers. And I guess the other thing that disturbs me is that there's very few street photographers. I don't know any street photographers. I don't see anybody. I don't see white people shoot street photography. So that's it, Alex. One more question.
Yeah. Where do you go once you have completed one project? What happens to it? Do you try to get people to look at it? Do you talk about it?
Well, you do both.
You got all this, you got how many? 13 stacked on top of each other. Each project consists of rolls of film.
Yeah, well, see, my problem is, number one, I'm not a business person, so that's...
No, we're not looking at that. We're looking at what you have.
Yeah.
You have rolls of film that's developed, negative form, categorized,
Right.
labeled, and filed away.
Right.
At any one point in time, you have access to this.
Yes.
And at any one point in time, you can sit down and have a deep conversation about the
Yes.
project.
Yes.
This is what you live with. This is what you eat.
Yes.
This is your daily intake and output utilizing your craft. You live this way, literally.
Yes. Yes.
And you made a commitment. And that commitment essentially have brought you this far.
Yes. I'm committed to the craft.
When did all of this start?
I tell you, I came into photography by accident, actually.
No, we're trying to find out when your commitment started. You talk about the civil rights movement and things like that.
My commitment to photography?
Now, your commitment, forget about the photography. Where you have made a commitment using something.
My commitment started when I was about 7. 7. And I was committed to something at 7, but I became a committed person during the civil rights era. I was committed to a certain line of politics, I was committed to a certain style of life, and I was committed to various things. Photography was like a blessing to me.
So where did this commitment come from?
It comes in part from my own experience, but I think I hate to use these soft terms like spiritual stuff because I'm not really involved. But I certainly think it came from my grandfather, my parents. But
Who was your grand?
my grandfather was a Guardian. He was in the Black Legion. He was a lieutenant in the Black Legion up until his death. So I get that piece from him. I get the discipline from my parents. That's why I'm able to commit myself to a craft and not necessarily worry about the compensatory end of it. So all the credit goes to my family because they provided me with those innate ingredients as well as the intellectual capacities to do what I wanted to do without fear of being ostracized, isolated, and there's other things that trick people up with stress and that. And also my family on the financial end because they're very supportive of whatever I'm desirous of in photography. That's not to say sky is the limit, but certainly I can see the clouds. But I came to photography by accident. I was committed to be a full-time agitator when I left the South, and someone gave me, interestingly enough, he was a monopoly. He gave me an idea. He said, "Here, man, you look like you're stressed out, bent out of shape." And the Civil Rights Movement had done that too, because it's a very demanding life, and you're not compensated for it. No time, no thank yous, nothing. Good drunk. Plenty of women, but you're not, nobody's, job. So what I did is he gave me the night, and he had me thought to become a photographer. And popular photography and modern photography taught me the basics, and that's all I knew, basics. And I wasn't interested in whether or not cyan and red, if you're off one f-stop, it turns pink. I'm not interested. I could care less. What can black and white? And I'm fortunate that the photographs that I admire the most also came out of the historical period that I find intellectually stimulating, and that's the Depression and pre-Second World War. It's fascinating to me politically, okay, especially in regard to black people's politics. And I study those photographs, the Farm Security Administration and other photographers. And of course, my favorite, unfortunately, is not William Morris, but Walter Evans, and Marion Rose Walcott, and Margaret Thorpe White, and those characters. So I said at that time, this is the kind of photographer I want to be. And being that kind of photographer, or trying to be like that type of photographer until I developed my own style, is that the medium's black and white, and it's stark, it's raw, and I can do a lot of things with it. I can tell a lot of stories with black and white, just by changing the contrast. So I decided then to become a photographer, a serious photographer. But I did newspaper work for a while, which is mundane, has absolutely no substance to it. And it's New York. It's my stay in New York that made me the documentary photographer that I am. Because the stage is here. I mean, it doesn't suggest the stage is on anywhere else. But being an outsider and trying to function in all of this mix with a camera has been exciting. Not fearful, exciting. I mean, you get scared when you go to movies. Has been exciting, and I've been able to pick whatever subject matter that I found interesting enough to document without too many difficulties. You almost document anything here. So, and I think what capped it off, my documentary, if you would say, my documentary academic experience was spent in 2 years in the flop house among crackheads, drug dealers, child molesters, rapists, defrocked priests, and everything else that skates around in bonded society, and photographed in that remarkable environment and survived. I knew then that I wanted to be a doctor of the street.
What happened to that project?
Well, what happened to the negatives?
Yeah.
2/3 of them were destroyed in a fire. Water damage. I was able to salvage, at best, 120 frames, pictures. And they need work. I have to shoot them. I have to print them and reshoot them and do all kinds of crazy stuff. But I have them. But they were damaged in a fire in the palace. A guy was trying to smoke some crack. And that's at that time when they were using torches, light the step, and it blew up and set the building on fire. And of course the police, flop house, fire, they tear that place up. So those images were destroyed, and I'll never be able to capture them again because that type of environment doesn't exist anymore. It does in San Francisco, but it doesn't exist in New York. The closest to that is the various rooming houses that exist. But I tell you, photography certainly has been fun. It's been my best friend. It's been fun. I tell you, it's really been fun.
We'll continue to be out of sorts.
I just wanted to give you a couple more dollars so I could get this damn book.
All right, I guess that's it for the time.
That was fun, right?
Yeah.
You liking it?
Yes.
Thank you for being patient.
Oh, it's all right.
All right, man.
Thank you, sir.
What's going on the 14th? Where's my invitation?
Don't
Thanks a lot,
lose
Albert.
that.
Don't lose it?
Don't lose that.
You got yours?
Keep the date.
Yeah.
Keep the date.
I'll
Everybody,
have to see Fred.
everybody show up. All right.
All right, let me get that.
Okay, man. Stay tuned.
I will.
Thank you. It's our next meeting.
Okay.
Tell Denise on that. What do you have to do? Anything new?
Yeah, take the,
Come on.
here.
Come on.
Yeah.
That was anything.
Really?
Anthony Robinson, architect. That was actually a good show. Wasn't scary. Alex. Thank you. Yeah, I'll see you.
I got an article in the Amber.
Oh, with that woman?
No, that's two sons.
That's your son?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'm gonna stop by.
A lot of mistakes.
Here we go. Okay.
You laid out.
Okay.